Call the meeting to order. Almighty God, you have blessed us with memory, reason, and skill. Help us to use them wisely in the service of our town government. This we ask in thy holy name, amen. We'll salute the flag. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for coming. There's anything in the public forum, Calvin?
I sent you an email today, Larry, from I'd gotten through Celine and David Patrick on the wayside road signs for the War of 1812
You must have sent it late today because
this morning. And,
okay, I usually check it when I first get in.
Yeah.
It wasn't on then.
that prime link, that's the one, right?
Ouch, that hurt. Okay, this was pertaining to the signs?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that the town is involved. I thought Dewey and the house and the cemetery were involved, but I don't know for sure. But I think, particularly in the town's interest, to make sure that the cemetery, if these grants are being handed out, that we at least try for it.
Okay.
Because it's the War of 1812, and you know, if the Battle of Plattsburgh ended the War of 1812, well, the War of 1812 ended when they left Dewey Tavern and headed back home.
We did, in our last year's budget, if I remember correctly, we appropriated, I think, $1,200 for a sign. And Celine has applied for another grant for a sign, but not for there, if I'm correct.
I think the old homestead that's now occupied by Alan Racine, I think,
Yes.
and a couple other places in the village, because she mentioned in her email that she was working with the village.
Okay.
And I didn't see anything in the email about the town, so I thought initially when I talked to David Patrick that they were doing something about that, but nothing in the email said that, so I want to make sure and not just assume.
Okay, David was here yesterday, he spoke with me pertaining to the cemetery. He's gonna be looking for some help, grant, whatever he can find, to do an archaeological dig, or at least find what they think is the parameters of that cemetery. Okay? So I don't know how soon that's gonna come off, but that's what he has an idea where it is already,
Well, yeah,
from Mr. Bedard.
yeah,
But they're not exactly sure where the boundaries might be.
no, because by the time Louis' father got there, all the stones were gone.
1905, I think he told me, or something like that. And some of those stones have been moved, he told me, to Glenwood Cemetery. Don't know if the bodies had been moved.
No, I'm sure they weren't, because I think they were just thrown in the wall.
Okay. But some of those stones, he tells me, gravestones, were moved.
If you look at them at Glenwood Cemetery, they're about a foot apart,
Okay.
so I doubt very much that they would have stuck bones in a foot apart, or else you'd put
Right.
one huge grave or something, but I really,
I don't know that.
I think folklore would have told us.
But he was
But
trying
that's
to
what
find
happened.
out why they were moved.
Well, we know why they were moved. The farmer at the time kept plowing them under. Every year he'd move a little further
Any further?
and take another stone out. He
Yes.
just figured these people were dead for 100 years and he needed to plant his crops, and so every year he'd take another stone out.
Okay. We have appropriated funds for a sign. We agreed, in budget time, we agreed to do one this year and one next year. Okay, for the next 2 years. And we figured that, I think, $1,200 per sign. They weren't real cheap, but, okay?
Well, apparently some grants from this 1812 corridor stuff, so
Okay,
you know, if you can find that email, it refers to that stuff, and then,
okay,
you know,
anything else?
we can, no, that's it.
Okay. I'd like a motion to approve the minutes of January 11th.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of January 11th.
Second that motion?
Any questions or concerns about the minutes on January 11th? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. We got a letter from Clinton County Health Department pertaining to the summer camps. This is mostly for Linda Fredette's programs during the summer. It's for your information only, really. She will take care of that. We have a real property schedule for when they're here in the office every Friday. And sometimes they're here on Monday, but the Mondays can be for field work, not necessarily in the office, but they're here every Friday. Just remind people that their exemptions have to be in and filed by March 1st. We got a letter from Clinton County pertaining to the dog remuneration, I guess it is, a surplus. And we got a check for $497. Julie, will this be the last of that?
Yes.
Next year we will not get that. Under the new program, we will not be getting this. Okay. That's strictly for your information. We got a letter from, also from Mike Zerlo, County Administrator, pertaining to the election. The county has agreed to pay affected municipalities a sum of $600 per election district. We have 4 districts, so they took $2,400 off our bill. It's getting very expensive to hold elections. The amount was reduced to $10,743. It is on the agenda tonight to be paid. So that's strictly for your information. We got from the Clinton County Treasurer's Office, we got a check in the amount of $162,258.25, representing the 4th quarter distribution of sales tax for 2010. They're the kind of checks we'd like to see come in. A letter from the DEC. Alan, you got any?
No, I couldn't really understand what they're getting at with this. You know, I got the same thing in my mailbox. I don't know.
Okay. This is for projects upcoming. You might want to spend just a few seconds, Alan, on we have requested a permit to create some parking places.
Yeah, I requested a permit on Pointer Fair to, on the Scales Road, to add 35 feet from the side of the pavement into the, well, I call it a swamp, but it's really wetlands to fill in this summer, but I gotta go through quite a bit. I gotta go through the Army Corps of Engineers. There's about a stack of papers this high I gotta fill out. Park the fishermen there to get them off the road, to help them out. Otherwise, if we gotta go in there in an emergency vehicle and them guys are all parked there, we can't get by. So I had the guy down there, and now I'm applying for it. I'll do it in just a matter of time, you know. It's gonna be like, I thought I could do it this winter, start this winter, but it's gonna be a project that's gonna start this summer. It's gonna take almost a year before I get it done. I mean,
It's a starting point.
yeah.
Okay.
You know, at least we're giving it a try, I mean.
Oh, yeah, I think the way the guy talked over the phone, there's no problem there, because it's not really considered a high wetland type thing, because it dries up in the summertime, you know. It's just 35 feet, 240 feet long. You know, I could probably park 25, 30 cars in there maybe.
No, we figured, well, I think so, easily.
And, you know, get those guys, and I don't wanna discourage the guys from fishing. But the thing of it is, you get a fire down there, when them guys are all fishing on a Sunday afternoon, they're all in the lake, you can't get by. Kind of a sad case, but I'm trying anyways to get that done.
Well, we'll work through the DEC and the Army Corps of Engineers. It
Corps
may
of
take us a
Engineers.
few months to get those permits, but we're working towards that.
That's a good idea, Alan. It is. It's worth it.
Alan, you want to address this confined space procedures?
3 of us took a course yesterday, confined space. OSHA's coming down really hard on these deals. We only got 1 or 2 confined spaces in the town. The village has got more. But what you call a confined space is like a manhole or that sewer hole we got on the West Duval Road. You gotta go to training. The guy goes in there, you gotta know what's going on, you gotta have a spotter. You know, in case something happened, he gets weak or something, we gotta pull him out. You know, we went through that training yesterday. So that way there, if OSHA happens to come in here and says, hey, you got your confined space instructions, you know, who who's the three main guys you got, who's the guys? So we're in place. The town's gotta pass some kind of a thing saying that they're accepting this. There's nothing really required right now from us because we're small at it, but as we keep growing, you know, if we happen to make a couple manholes in town and somewhere, we're gonna have to get fixed up with different equipment. We're gonna have to buy equipment in the future. Right now, I'm in the thing with Ross's Point saying if I need equipment, they're gonna give us equipment. You know, but eventually I'm gonna get my own.
And
I
you
can
live
borrow
in
those, I
Quincy.
can borrow those. Their equipment right now is through, you know, like we got an agreement with them, shared agreement,
Shared service.
shared services, and Brian's going, you know, he said he'd go along with us, and, but we gotta have a little bit more training, you know, to keep this up, at least once or twice a year.
You dropped off your permits this morning, dude.
Yeah, I see him there.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm surprised.
We don't need to approve this as such then.
You gotta set it in place that we
Yes.
have this,
You have to have a resolution accepting that as part of town policy.
that's a town policy.
Okay. I did read over,
Yeah.
I certainly don't understand it as well as Ellen does.
It's a safety more or less.
Okay, I will entertain a motion to approve it as written as confined space entry procedures for the town of Champlain to be part of our town board policy.
I make a motion that we adopt this confined space entry procedure as part of the policy, the town of Champlain policy.
Thank you. Any second, please?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. We, the auditors are here, and they recommended that we change our policy here on procurement. Everybody's got a copy of this on your desk this evening. Okay, there's, actually what the state is recommending that we upper the limits. For instance, on the first, the top one that's in yellow, it used to be $10,000 or greater. Now it will be, they're recommending $20,000. Actually, what we're, all these figures are basically double what they were, if you'll notice. The yellow is the recommended increase. Less, if it passes, it'll be less than 20,000 and greater than 6,000 requires a written proposal and a written fax or quotes from 3 vendors. Less than 3,000 will be 6,000, but greater than 2,000, it used to be 1,000. Require an oral request for the goods and an oral quote from 2 vendors. Okay. All public work contracts used to be 20,000. They're recommending that goes to 35. And anything less than 35 but greater than 20, it used to be 10, requires a written proposal from 3 contractors. And less than 20, which used to be 10, but greater than 6,000, require proposals from 2 contractors. Less than 6,000, but greater than $500 are left to the discretion of the purchaser. It's a little complicated, but this was written years and years ago, the old limits, and now they're recommending that we raise these limits. It gives us a little more discretionary how we have to advertise and how we have to request bids. Anybody understand? Everybody understand it? Is there any questions on this?
Is there any reasoning given for doing this by them?
Only because the things cost so much more than they did when it was originally written years ago, and I can't tell you, I believe I read somewhere, it was way back, many years ago. In fact, I have it here. $1,953. You got it there, Dick? Yep, that was way back. When $10,000, it was a lot of money. 10,000 then is 20,000, I couldn't even buy it today, you know? The auditors were here, they recommended this, and I had Jane find the old policy, and they recommended that we increase it to that, so I have no problem with that. I do need a motion to do this, make this part of town policy.
I'd like to make a motion that we change the amounts on the purchasing, to come up with speed with the rest of us.
Okay.
I think we just, we should, we all got a copy of it anyway, so.
You all got a copy, if there's any questions, we need to.
Anybody have any questions?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, is there any questions or concerns? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Julie, you have anything on town?
Just that, the last zoning board meeting, Bruce Seguin and Bruce Waller. Bruce Seguin was voted as chairperson and Bruce Waller as vice. And at the planning board, Carl Schenk as chair and Bob Wesselholm as vice. You guys just have to approve it.
Okay, we'll take zoning board first, I guess. We accept, I guess, what would be the word? I don't accept, approve, maybe? Bruce Seguin is chairman, and Bruce Waller is vice chairman
Yes.
of the zoning board. Does there have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve Bruce Seaglin and Bruce Wallet in their respective appointments.
Okay,
I'll second that motion.
any questions? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. The other one would be Carl Schenk for chairman of the planning board, and is it Bob Weston?
Yes.
Okay, as vice chairman? If I could have a motion to approve those?
I make a motion we approve Carl Schenk to be chairman of the committee.
And does that include Bob Westenholm as vice chairman? Okay, thank you.
So we've been.
Rod?
Rob Westenholm? He's down in Kings Bay, right on 9B. He's been on that board for several years.
Yeah.
Long time, very, okay,
Very fine gentleman.
I'll second that motion.
thank you. Any questions? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Anything else, Julie?
Nope, that's all I have.
That's basically it. You have your post audit bills, we need to.
Got one thing, Larry,
Pardon?
we got the building,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
we, the snow took all the heaves, it took all the troughs off on that end, and it's gonna take them off in the front, it took them all off in the back.
Buried your truck?
I buried my truck, yeah, but, we made an insurance claim. There's $1,000 deductible, but I'm gonna wait till all the snow comes off, you know, see what kind of mess we got. And later on there, we'll get somebody to give us an estimate, that's what the insurance wants, give us an estimate, what's it gonna cost to put all that back together.
It trashed them.
Oh, so I don't know if it's worth it to put those heave troughs back on, or, I don't know.
Some of the fascia, is that what you call it?
The fascias, what happened is that we put that flashing on a few years ago, some of that fascia board was kind of punky. The tails of the rafters, the
Yes.
cement block building, are pretty well punky, so now they're gonna have to scab that. Maybe if we put it on strong, and put like a 2x6, put the fascia back on, maybe those heave troughs will stay on. I don't know, I mean, you're gonna have to get a contractor come in there and examine that.
3 foot of snow, it takes most anything down. There's a lot of snow there, a lot of heavy snow.
But I'm just making it aware that we got a little insurance claim.
We did turn it into the insurance company for a possible claim on that. We certainly know there's more than $1,000 deductible claim there. Okay, anything else, Alan?
No, fine.
I need a motion to approve the monthly bills. Hope somebody wants to pay the bills.
I'll make a motion to pay the bills as written.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Any questions, any of the bills paid?
How your truck's holding up, Alan?
Good. Repairs here and there every day, but we keep them going.
A lot of good comments on keeping up the road, by the way.
Tell you, it's tough. Saturday night was a tough one.
Tonight might be a problem.
Could be,
Yeah.
before the night's over, with the wind keeps blowing. Anyways, we need to approve the bills. I got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Anybody else have anything to bring before the board? Mickey, you got anything?
Nope.
Besides a smile?
Yeah.
If not, need a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second?
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.